from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. It's been a solid road trip for our beloved Mariners. You know, we rep this team from Albuquerque out to Nashville, up to Little Lake, Stevens, and everywhere in between. I want to give a huge shout out to our super producer, Indy, rocking the ones and twos, doing all the dirty work behind the scenes to bring us to all you incredible listeners. And of course, I got to give a huge shout out to my co-host who's swinging through your town like a neighborhood Spider-Man. RG, what's up, bro?
Man, today's game just took a lot of energy to try to get through. And just happy that we finally made it through. Just, oh man, the emotions to go through. And it wasn't the only game that was like that. And we can get into some of those later. Shout out to everybody listening to the show, first-time listeners, the people who've been faithful with us. Happy to have you with us each and every Sunday for My Oh My, it's another sports podcast.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I mean, it was a 3-3 road trip, so you can't really complain. But the giant elephant in the room for the week was obviously Friday night's ball game, where I'm out here talking all of that shit. The Mariners start out 7-0, including one of our new favorites, Ryan Bliss, first home run ever. Big shout out to that young man. But I'm thinking this is going to be a cruise control, actually going to be able to chill on the deliveries, have a nice, easy ball game, and man, Bryce Miller got completely crushed. My boy Ryan Stenick could not find the strike zone. 3 walks in 1 inning. Of course, you're going to give up the game when you do that in the 9th, but just tell me about the stress of some of these games, RG.
Well, for those of you who've been listening, you know I'm on the road most of the times, and I got the MLB at Bat app going in the car or whatever it is that they call it now. Got that going in the truck, just beating up and down the highways. We're up, and then all of a sudden, the bottom just begins to fall out. And everything that can go wrong is going wrong. I believe they call that Murphy's Law. Just then we get to the 9th. We're up 2 runs. And just inconsistent pitching, just not being able to deliver when we need it. Then Witt gets up and man, it was tough. It was tough. It's still not the toughest one that I've seen. I posted on Bleacher Report what was worse, tonight or August 5th of 2001. And maybe I'm dating myself because I'm 40 years old. But August 5th of 2001. We were up 14-2 against the Cleveland Indians, and in traditional Mariner fashion, found a way to lose that game. So it's still not the worst come from behind game that we've ever given up, but we just have more hope for this team. You know, right now we're in a position where the division isn't doing well. We actually could run away with it if we begin to just string consistent baseball together and not have the weekly giveaway. But we gave one away in Oakland, then we give 2 away in Kansas City. Happy to sneak out of there with a win today. Hit the crit walk dance, get some barbecue from Q39, hop the plane and get as far away from Missouri as we can.
I hear that, man. And at least from my perspective, I honestly was more kicked in the nuts from Friday night's game that we blew against Kansas City. And that's just because this offense has obviously been so inept this year that I feel like anytime we score 5, 6, 7, 8 plus runs, that the team has to capitalize. You know, back in 2001, you got Edgar, Booney, Ichiro, Olerud, Mikey C. Man, dudes were raking. That offense was freaking awesome. And so that's just my personal opinion, is that really kicked me in the nuts because I'm just thinking, man, anytime we score that many runs, we gotta come away with the win. I'm getting a little bit concerned about Bryce Miller here. He's had several rough starts out of his last 5 or 6 outings. Ryan Stenek, who I've been so high on, feels like he's regressing a little bit. It's either meatball time or walking guys to first base. And early in the spring training, when we knew Brash and Santos were both going to be hurt, I started to get worried about bullpen depth. Early in the season, didn't really hurt us. But every time you have two high leverage, awesome, flame throwing relievers go down, bro, every guy has to step up 2 spots. Stanek is a little bit higher leverage and maybe we'd want him to. We maybe want him third or fourth. Now he's second. Thornton, who was fantastic early, seems to be getting crushed every single time out right now. And so the only positive for me right now is that if you need to acquire a bullpen arm at the deadline, that's the cheapest and easiest position to acquire. What are your thoughts on the bullpen and the pitching? And I really can't get too down on them though, because we basically had one shitty start all week.
Well, we knew that health was going to be a big factor in how we were going to perform this coming year. And just to round off a couple names to you, Gabe Spire, left rotator cuff strain. We might get him back at the end of June. Greg Santos, right lat strain, may get him back early July. Matt Brash, elbow inflammation, Tommy John surgery, he's done until June. Jackson Kowar, UCL surgery, he's done. Sorry, Matt Brash is done until June of 2025 with his Tommy John surgery. Jackson Kowar, again, out until 2025. So just guys who could come in and kind of relieve some of that stress and give us some innings and give us some arms. They're just not available right now. So we may need to make a move to the bullpen. Look to see what we can get to strengthen that up. I know a guy in Arizona I would love to have back on the Mariners team if he comes back healthy. Um, but aside from him, just they seem to always do a really good job of being able to find diamonds in the rough in the bullpen. And I thought that they had set themselves up to kind of have the same success with some of these guys that they had signed, but the injury bugs just went and caught to them. So I know that next year we're gonna have some fire back there, but I'm not worried about 2025 right now. I'm still trying to see if we can hold this lead as we get ready to get into what we call the dog days of summer here and prepare for the All-Star break and see what kind of moves that they come up with over the next few weeks to help bolster the bullpen.
Man, I totally forgot about Jackson Kowar too, because I believe he came in the Braves trade, I think, when we traded Kellenick and Marco. But I was super pumped about this guy just because he's a flamethrower. His stats haven't panned out in the major leagues, but he hasn't had a large sample size, so it's hard to really know. But I was really disappointed when he went down. And the Mariners, as an organization, they're not trying to hide that they need reinforcements as well, because Logan Evans, who's been kicking ass and taking names as a starter for AA Arkansas with a 1.16 ERA in 10 starts and now 2 relief appearances, they have converted him to the bullpen. I think that they actually want him to be a starter long term, but they're trying to get this Logan Evans ready to come up and be a contributing member of the bullpen staff. And so obviously you don't know what to expect from a rookie. The double A to major league jump is three galaxies apart, basically. But he's got a mid 90s fastball, a swing and miss slider, and a good cutter versus righties. So at least I know that as an organization, they're not just burying their heads in the sand. And damn it, I am all for bringing Paul Sewald, aka Motherfucker Jones, back to the team. We might be able to make a bigger trade all in one, too, because although they made the World Series last year, they're about 3 or 4 games under 500, I believe. They have a few hitters that we might be able to add to our team. So maybe we can do a multiplayer trade and try to kill two birds with one stone. But clearly, I mean, the pitching staff is fantastic overall, but it might be easier to make a strength than to try to improve in the lineup substantially. Obviously, I want more hitters, man, but it just feels like acquiring hitters is going to be extremely difficult and very expensive coming up here at the deadline.
We always appreciate fan interaction. For those of you tapped in with us here on My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. We got someone in the chat who posted up and said, "Can Wu continue at the pace that he's currently on?" And another follower of us in the group chat tonight is saying that he thinks that Bryce will be fine. Is Stanek the one that scares him? Uh, I think things like that happen with starting pitchers. You know, not everybody's going to come out and just dominate all 30 nights that they're performing up there on the mound. And Miller is still a young guy, and let's just stick by him and see if we can get him to develop into the kind of guy who can help to help continue to be able to help us just rack up wins and rack up wins and rack up wins. Static, it's just something about when a guy that's a closer on a great team like Houston is, and regardless how you feel about him, there we got to give the devil his due. Um, for them to go out and replace him with Hater, and for him to become indispensable to them, there has to be something that they may have seen that was worth them being able to move on for him. And I like his stuff. I think he's electric at times. I love the speed on his fastball, the fact that he's been there with them in some of these high pressure situations. I thought would pay dividends for us because we needed someone who was a little bit more emotionally stable than Mooney is at times. But this is just kind of how baseball goes. It's just kind of how baseball goes. Again, I think the guy has the stuff to be able to get it done. We might need to work on some location, maybe need to script some things with him when he comes in the game, and just kind of let him go out there and throw those fire pitches in those locations that kind of make it hard for you to get the good part of your bat on, and see if we can get some flyouts and some real ground balls out of him. But you know, I don't want to harp too much that the sky is falling because that's just what typical Mariners fans do. But we're still in a great position. We're still in a great position. We're the only team in the division with the winning record. Our run differential is starting to turn around. We crept up to 23rd in run scores. So not everything is just bombing out the way that we may be used to. So we still got a little bit of time to figure this out. Couple good series to be able to work on a couple things. But yeah, absolutely. What you got?
Well, for starters, I just want to give a huge shout out to our listeners. And if you talk, we're going to listen. We're going to throw your script in on the fly like we're doing right now. And if you want to slide up in those DMs, you want to try to get on the show, we'd be more than happy to have any listeners on the show. This is the people's show, so get in our DMs and ask us if you want to be on there. But I kind of get what this listener was texting in about on YouTube about Stanek, and part of it is I just look at track record and where you're going. At 29, Stanek had a good year for Houston. At age 30, he was lights out, dominant, and kicking ass at age 30. At 31, he was decent. Now this year at 32, he is kind of struggling a little bit. I don't want to get too deep into ERA for relievers though, because two bad games are going to give you a shitty ERA for most of the season just because you don't have enough innings pitched. But you're right, man. And here's the thing too is the Mariners want to control the zone. They want first pitch strikes, which is part of what's made Brian Wu so effective is he's always pitching ahead in the count. But I mean, three walks in the ninth inning. I would every single time I would rather see three straight solo home runs to end the game than three walks and then a double or three walks and a homer because you're just giving it away at that point. You might as well give a crook your ATM pin code at that point, man.
You know what's coming. You know what's coming every time someone walks,
Yeah.
especially in the later innings of a game. It's like you could just see it. That guy's walking. Someone's gonna get a can of corn hit. We're gonna misthrow the ball. Just anytime we start off with a walk like that. But again, we found some offense, and it's kind of hard at this point to have that, like I said, the sky is falling mentality that the team has kind of forced some of us fans that have been around long enough always into. When we look at the view from 30,000 feet,
Mhm.
we're right where we want to be. We're right where we want to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And then to top it off in that ninth inning that we kicked it away there, we also had a throwing error. And so if you have one error and three walks in the same inning, and remember, a throwing error advances the runners. Like maybe if you're playing second base like I would be, and I just make a shitty attempt on a ground ball, it bounces off my knee, rolls to the side, and the guy's safe. Well, he just advances that one base. You make a throwing error from third to first, everyone's advancing one, maybe two. And you're right. Like we kind of started on the negatives of the week, and on 3 and 3, I wrote down a bunch of negatives and a bunch of positives. So hopefully it just kind of is what it is. We're a vastly better home team this year than on the road. We need to try to somehow scratch out being a 500 team on the road and then maybe be 600 plus at home. That could really position us to win the AL West. Obviously, it's lucky that our division is sucking this year when we all thought it would be pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I am overreacting a little bit on Bryce Miller. I think that listener's right. And part of it is you just live in the moment at times and you give up 7 runs in the most recent series. That's what's going to stand out in your mind. He has gotten touched up a little bit, but all in all, he is a damn good starting pitcher. He is not even a full baseball season into his career because remember he came in halfway when we had a bunch of injuries to Marco and Robbie Ray, etc. So that I mean, I can't get too mad at him. Better things are ahead for him, but man, this Brian Wu. I mean, I gotta give a Ric Flair Brian Woo because this dude is electric. He is obviously not going to have like a 1.10 ERA for the entire season. I'm honestly waiting for the shoe to drop every time he pitches, man. I'm waiting for him to get touched up because he's been that damn good. It's going to happen, but he literally has the best first 6 starts in team history against Oakland, going home. Alameda County is where he's from and 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 6 Ks, no walks. Man, talk to me about Brian Wu because I can't even believe it. It seems like some of his fastballs are very hittable, and then guys like Aaron Judge swing and miss on the reg. So what's up with this guy?
Man, he just coming in and doing what he has to do. Coming in and doing what he has to do. I kind of love his story. I love the fact that he's on our team, and he seems to be another one of these diamond in the rough guys that we just do so well with. Um, the more we get a chance for him to get out there, the more his confidence seems to grow. And some of the things that I love about Logan Gilbert, I also see in Brian Wu, where he's not worried about the moment. He's not worried about who's in the stands. He knows what he's going up there to do. He's not going to get rattled. He's going to stay within himself and go out there and perform. So a big shout out to Brian Wu as he continues to move forward with his career. Again, I'm happy that he's out there, part of our rotation. We do have a lot of young guys that are around that we're expecting some big things from. I mean, when you look at our staff, Castillo's had a great career. Logan probably has been around the second longest, and then it's a bunch of guys who we're still they they came out and performed the way we needed them to last year because desperation kind of threw them into the rotation. But we still need to let them kind of become who it is that they're going to become, even with someone as talented as Kirby. Let's let's kind of pump the brakes on him and not expect him to be Randy Johnson. We got to do the same thing with Wu. We got to do the same thing with Miller. These guys are still young. I mean, let's even take a look at what Julio's doing this year. Julio's power numbers happen to be down, but to me it seems like he's taking better at bats this season than he was last season. There's still some times where he's standing up there and you can just kind of see the youth in some of the decisions that he makes, but the guy has the world on his shoulders. So we do have a lot of young guys who are out here trying to make sure that they are bridging the gap and making that learning curve as short as possible for them to be able to come in and do what we need to do to try to get us to the ultimate goal. And just the way that we've gone so far this season, it was starting to look ugly. We battled back. We battled back. Before you know it, we're at the top of the league. We're at the top of the division. Got a 5-game lead. Run differential is turned around. So let's just keep pressing forward, and let's have some room for error with some of these guys. Luckily, the division isn't breathing down our necks yet, and we do have a chance this coming week to be able to kind of pad the stats a little bit. White Sox are kind of down, and we got them for 4, and then we got a weekend series with the Rangers. So let's just go back to playing some good Mariner baseball. Um, and just keep trying to do what we do with these guys. No need to try to over push them for it. Let's let time let's let time just determine what it is that they're really going to be.
Well, I'm glad that we have the White Sox for 4 games at home because Lord knows these Mariners love their home sweet cooking. 21-11 at home, 16-19 on the road. But I just want to nerd out on Brian Wu for a minute. I know it's only 6 starts, but in 6 starts, this dude already has a 1.4 WAR. He's 3-0 with a 1.07 ERA and a point 5.35 whip. You gotta be freaking kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. And then I think back, because I mean, I'm like you, when we put in a lot of hours, so we get a lot of radio versions, and everybody knows that I dearly love Rick Riz, but he is so positive that you don't always get the correct picture in your brain because he is so positive about the Mariners. But I go back to Wu's first start at Texas. It was so bad. I was just so worried. Is this gonna wreck him? Are we gonna need to send him to AAA for a couple more years? And now this is what he's doing. So congratulations to this young man. He wasn't even one of the first round picks, so good for him. Transitioning, I mean, we decided I wanted to talk about some of the positives because we led on some of the negatives because of a couple emotional losses this week. But for y'all that don't know, my unbelievable co-host RG is from the great city of Albuquerque, the state of New Mexico. And shout out to Albuquerque's finest. No, I'm not talking about your boy Bregman. But Mitch Garver has quietly come alive recently. In his last 21 at bats, he's hitting 286. He's walked 4 times. He's hit 2 home runs. He's hit 2 doubles with 8 RBI all on the road. Stand up, Albuquerque. Mitch Garver, I mean, it's no joke. We need him to hit better than he has this year. It's an absolute fact. He's on a 2-year contract. He's getting paid handsomely. This lineup needs him to rake for us to go where we want to go. JP Crawford, back to back days with leadoff bombs. If he can find some of the power that he found last year, much needed for the team. But I also, I'm starting to get a second base man crush on Ryan Bliss. That speed, the professional at bats, his first home run. The guy is spinning web gems every single day. He's giving me flashbacks of Roberto Alomar. I can't believe I said that about my favorite guy, but I just did. Just talk to me about any positional players that have been getting your eye lately, because like you said to start the show, the hitting is finally starting to turn around. Can we manage some consistency over several games, if not a month, weeks, etc.?
Again, we just got a lot of young guys who are going to have to come in and help carry this load for us for a little bit. We don't know how long France is going to be on the IL after getting a hit in the calf the other night with his injury. I wasn't even paying attention to the injury report and didn't know that Haggerty tore his ACL and he's out for the year. Um, just a just a high energy guy that can kind of come in forward. I'm cheering for Ryan Bliss to be able to get in here and stay. Um, Rojas has just been amazing for us. Demo is Demo has been there when we needed him to. So we are getting some major production from some guys outside of the big three, in my opinion, JP, Julio, and Cal. And just to kind of take some of the pressure off of them and just to play loose baseball. This is the time of the year where days are going to get longer, days are going to get hotter. I know you live up there in the
Ugh.
Pacific Northwest and you don't get to see none of the fun stuff down here, but I'm telling you, it is already blazing out here in the West. And we're gonna have to come down here to California and get some games. We're gonna have to go into Texas and do some battling with it. I mean, this is just going crazy. This is going crazy. There's a big shout out to all of you rocking with us in the Sunday night chat here on My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. This show isn't anything without the people who follow it, and a big shout out to you. Mariner Lifer has a question for you, T. Uh, did any? Let's see here. Did you see anything from Tyler Locklear tonight that makes you think he's ready to be up here at the major league level?
Absolutely. That's so funny he mentioned that because I take down a bunch of notes. We don't always talk about all of them. I just do that to be prepared for anything. And Tyler Locklear has been raking every step of the way. He's 23 years old, so he's at an age that you think you can do it. But what I absolutely loved from a guy in his first major league game, he had a long out to center field, and his RBI double was the power alley to right center. If your first major league game, you are hitting with some pop and some power out to center and right center as a right handed hitter, that bodes so well long term because he's not trying to do too much, but he also has the natural strength, power, and hitting technique to get it out deep enough to the deepest, hardest part of the yard for a right handed hitter to get to. You know that I've been high on Tyler Locklear for a while now. When he was first picked up, they called him Baby Pete Alonso. I don't know if I see that power necessarily, but I think I see possibly a more well rounded hitter. I am so bummed that Ty France got hurt though, because this guy was starting to really do Ty France things again, hitting the ball hard the other way. Then if they get it middle, drive it out of the ballpark to left. So that really bummed me out. But there's no reason this lineup, is not so great that we can't find ways to get hitters in there. I am so pumped about Tyler Locklear. I thought he might end up being a trade piece. Who knows how it's going to go? I mentioned him as a trade piece when we talked about Vlad Jr. the other week, just because to get quality, you got to trade quality, and you got to trade guys that it's going to hurt you to trade if you want to get a big time stud who was once the second in MVP voting. But yeah, shout out to that listener and who was on the message board right there. Ty Locklear, power to the opposite field into the power alley right center. That's the kind of shit this team needs, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Vaden Podcast Services presents My Oh My, it's another sports broadcast. We're live each and every Sunday on Twitch and YouTube. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials. My Oh My at My Oh My ASP. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on TikTok. And for those of you who happen to be in the chat with us and following along tonight, don't forget we are doing a giveaway where we're giving away a Julio Rodriguez Funko. All you got to do is like the post that we have up on the social media pages, share it with 5 friends, invite them to follow the show, invite them to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your favorite podcast from. Every additional 5 friends you invite to the page is an additional entry. We are, you know what? We might need to extend this a little bit just to make sure that we can still get enough of the people into it who may be able to cause us some traction. We were going to stop this contest this week, but maybe our social media director and Indy can work it out to where we can extend it just a little bit longer. You keep bringing us that good positive energy, and we want to make sure that we're showing you the love in return and giving you a chance to win some free gear from us. So again, you're doing the Julio Rodriguez Funko. Later on the year, we'll be giving away swag. We'll be giving, just anything that we can do to show our gratitude for you helping us grow and develop this podcast. Again, this show isn't anything without the people who listen to it, and we are so excited to have those of you rocking with us live on the YouTube chat each and every Sunday night for My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And we're fluid with this thing. I just want to ask anybody who's in the comments, and maybe we can get to it tonight. Maybe it'll be next week. But I think every single Mariners fan wants to see a hitter or two or more added for the stretch run. This starting pitching staff is too damn good to just let the season go as is. I truly believe if we can get into the playoffs, we can do some serious damage. Tell us who you want the Mariners to acquire, and then also what type of prospects would you be willing to give up? Let us know your thoughts, and then we can really kick this around next week. We're still a long ways away from the trade deadline, but as a lot of you know, Baseball America came out very recently with their updated top 100 prospects list, and the Mariners had 7 of these guys, including number 83 Tyler Locklear, who was just called up, number 85 Logan Evans, who is getting ready to come up, and this didn't even include Felnine Celestin, who is only an 18-year-old shortstop from the Dominican, the second international prospect rated in 2023, and they say he's got Julio type upside. I don't want to bark up that tree yet because guy is a freaking teenager, so he's got miles to go, but I'm just saying all this to say that we have the depth in the system to not make a marginal move, that we have the depth in the system to make a serious move. And let's freaking do it, man. The players in the clubhouse, the coaching staff, the front office, and damn it, us, the fans, everybody deserves the Mariners going for this darn thing. I mean, seriously, RG, talk to me.
All right, well, let's
They'd be the
interact with our
Kings.
homie Mariner Lifer here.
Do it.
Let's interact with our homie Mariner Lifer here. He's saying give away Harry Ford, Emerson Hancock for a few more prospects for Vlad Jr. Do you think that juice is worth the squeeze?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. And Vlad Jr. wouldn't be a half a year rental because he's under contract. Although he'll be an expensive ARB3 player next season, we would get him for a full year and a half before having to worry about losing him. I am all on that trade, and it makes so much sense too because I think we all love Harry Ford. He played really well as an overmatched team on Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic last year. You so eloquently mentioned it last week that you got to see him against better pitchers than he would normally face, but he's blocked. And even if we lose Cal Raleigh in free agency, that's still 3 or 4 years down the road. Harry Ford, number 47 right now at 21. Great chip. We know that Emerson Hancock is our sixth starter right now. Logan Evans is looking to try to take that spot in the near future. So, hell yeah. I mean, Vlad Jr., we're talking about a guy that can have an OPS 900, and he had a slow start this year. He's been hitting the snot out of the ball lately. And I just want to ask fans, how would you feel about Vlad Jr. batting behind Julio Rodriguez?
Man, that could be electric. That could actually absolutely be electric. Absolutely be electric. Another person chopping it up with us in the chat tonight. Sunday Evening Media says, "What about trading Stanek for Paul Sewall straight up?" I'm telling you right now, you had me at hello. I've been ready to go. You know how boring Bleacher Report is that I don't get to cuss on that thing every day like I used to when we used to bring in Sewald at the end of games. And I'd love to have my man back. But again, you know, he is having some health issues, so let's make sure that he's healthy enough to be able to do the job. The last time that I've seen him pitch in the postseason, he gave up some meat to Alvarez. He gave one up to Seager. So let's just make sure that mentally and physically that he's able to do it. But hey, man, if there's no one else in Mariners land that would love to have motherfucker Jones back than the originator of the motherfucker Jones nickname. This guy right here, your boy RG, baby.
And for y'all who are wondering, because he's that guy that gets that gangsta shit done when you need it done. Shout out Horrible Bosses, hilarious freaking movie. But man, this is fun, and
Absolutely.
we want the conversation. We want people to feel involved. My question is, I mean, this is an obvious one. Would you trade Dom Canzone for Paul Sewald back straight up? I think of course you would, but
Again, you're asking me, dog. So I'm gonna be biased in that. But I love the Dom father and what he's been able to bring to the team. So maybe we don't need what has always seemed to happen to me over the last few seasons is the team is in a groove. There seems to be a good vibe. And we trade a piece away. And even though it's something to help build, it tears down the locker room at that time because it seems that from the player's perspective to the front office, you don't believe in us because why are we getting rid of this guy? It happened with Kendall Graveman. It happened with Seawald. And I just that kind of chemistry and things like that are very intricate to be able to hold on, maintain, and just continue to build upon. So, again, Jerry and Justin get paid millions to make those decisions that I can't see through the wall with. But if I ever had a chance to be able to bring my boy back, I would. Sunday Evening Media says, "I've heard my friend call him that, but I never knew why." Oh man, so 2-3 years ago on Bleacher Report, after I watched Seawall perform a couple times, and every time he came in, just with that crooked hat, I was just sitting here. I was like, that's what we need. We need motherfucker Jones to get in. So I actually was surprised that Bleacher Report let me put motherfucker Jones. Now I think it helped because I didn't spell motherfucker out just the way that you would expect it to. I had to ghetto it up a little bit and just it caught fire. And the more people that kept calling him, I was like, dude, I think I started an epidemic in here. So the day he got traded, my heart broke. And to go on Bleacher Report and see the number of people that were referring to him as motherfucker Jones kind of made my soul feel good. Absolutely. And it can't nobody else tell you that they came up with that but me. So it is the crowning jewel of my social media experience, considering Bleacher Report is the most I really dive into social media.
well, I'm just looking at Seawald right now. He has barely pitched this year, you're right, obviously battling the injuries, but he has been dominant in 10 innings.
I love it.
And I think we need bullpen help too. I really do. Especially if you're a team that leans on pitching. You can't have the best starting staff in baseball and then be holding your breath every time you go to the bullpen. That shit doesn't equate. And I'm not even blaming the front office because In the off season, you know how high I was on this bullpen potentially. Now we have what, 4 or 5 injuries, and it's really hard to combat that many injuries to anybody's bullpen, and we're starting to see it happen now.
Yeah, man. Just ah, life of a Mariner fan. Life of a Mariner fan. What can you say? Shout out to Mariners. Lifer has a question. He says, "RG, how do you feel about the way Scott threw bombing straight into a high pressure situation instead of using Munoz in the ninth inning? It was last game, not today's game." I'm going to tell you the way that I look at it in life, man. Fresh out the frying pan into the fire. And the best way to be able to see what it is that you have is to go out there when you're not expecting it to, and hey, tonight's the night that we need you. What can you get out there and go do? And there's an old saying that pressure either busts pipes or makes diamonds. And just the first two nights, our bullpen just couldn't hold it down. Some timely hits by a really good team who's used to being able to put runs on the board. I don't think it's so much of a bad thing, especially if Munoz wasn't able to go. I know he what was it, on the fourth? He had the little hiccup while he was out there performing, and really, you got to get these guys tested. If you can't come in and calm your nerves in a June game against the Royals, what happens when we get late into September? And God willing, we make it into October, and you're put into a high pressure situation like that. And we need you if we don't have any other arms. You see that we got guys falling like flies. Um, Paul Scheibel says we really need to get Santos healthy. We do. We do. We need more. We need some more seasoned guys that have been back there. But with these young guys, man, it's the same way I kind of learned the industry that I'm in now. CDL school doesn't prepare you for what actually driving a truck is. They just want you to be able to pass the skills exam to get out there. And once you're out there, man, just you learn something new every day. Everything's a learning experience. From whether it's where I can pull over at the middle of the night, where I can stop and eat at, what road I don't want to take, what lane is beat up, and it's kind of the same way with these young guys in here. We need to see what if you can come in here in the position that we need you to be able to hold it down. If you read Moneyball, there's the theory too that bullpen and closer situations are overanalyzed because the pitcher starting in the beginning of the game could have been facing runners on second and third, no outs, and got out of that pressure pack situation compared to someone who comes in with the lead, and the pressure really was on the guy earlier in the game, and you're going out there starting from a position of being ahead. Baseball is a very, very unforgiving sport sometimes, but also there's a lot of time to be able to go out there and learn your trade to be able to make things right. So I don't have any problem with the fact that Scott ran him out there, especially if we're kind of running low on bullpen arms and we just need guys to be able to get out there. Could it shake a young man's confidence? Yeah, absolutely. But then what type of dog are you? If there's that dog in you, you're going to go out there and perform no matter what position that you're put in. And if you went out there and got lit up before, you're going to want to come out there and be like, nah, dog, that ain't me and you ain't getting over me again. The pitcher has the advantage of baseball. As a hitter, you're celebrated for doing your job right one out of one out of every 10 times. So, again, just baseball's a lot to learn. I got no problem with the way this guy handled that. I'm not going to hop on the fire service bandwagon right now. The team's performing well, so we'll just keep rocking with it.
Yeah, I mean Bauman's plenty good enough. I was absolutely pumped when we picked him up. Shocked, just like the players were, that he ended up on the waiver wire. The bottom line is you got to get the job done. I mean, he had 3 strikeouts. You got to keep the ball in the ballpark. He's going to learn that lesson. This guy is a good enough pitcher to handle the situation. And you said it. I mean, what are we gonna do? Ride Munoz into Tommy John surgery like we rode Matt Brash into Tommy John last year? So at some point, guys got to step up.
Sunday Evening Media says, so if Munoz handles the bottom of the ninth inning in a tie game, who do you throw out in the bottom of the 10th inning right now? It's a very interesting question. I I get nervous every time I see Thornton with the ball, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. Every time I see Thornton up there on the hill, I get ready for that roller coaster ride. Um, but it might be him. It just really all depends on who had to come out before him when we get Stanek back. I mean, not Stanek back, when we get Spire back. It'll be interesting to see where they place him in that. But I agree with the comment made earlier by Paul. We need our boy Santos to get healthy. We really do.
Yeah, yeah. Getting 100 miles per hour running up there, low 90s on a slider. I mean, I was so excited to get him on the squad. And I'll still ride with Stanek. He has made me sick lately, but I'ma still ride with him. I've been riding with him since we signed him. I gotta stay with him. And then let's see. I think Logan Evans, once he's ready to come up to the bullpen, is gonna be immediate impact. That's just me taking a guess, looking into the crystal ball. Might be eternal optimist on that one, but hey, dude's got to step up. And man, when it's your time to shine, get that money, man. And you come and perform, like you say, put him in the fryer right away. Dude, get that money and perform.
Mariner Lifer throws out, I think it's Stanek right now, but I also like what Saucedo brings. Could he ever be that guy? Sunday Evening Media says Saucedo is a great guy, but I don't have a lot of faith in him, and I don't know why. Um, there's times where Sauce gets in there and he looks like he's made for the part, and then there's some times where he gets in there and we're wondering and scratching our heads what it is that he's out there doing. But again, these guys don't really have we really don't have a lot of other options. Um, Tyler made the comment earlier while we were off mic that he would love to see us make a move to go out and get another bullpen arm. I would love for us to be able to do that. But we're also working from a limited situation where we got one of the cheapest owners in the world. We got baseball's version of Donald Sterling, and I don't really know if his commitment is to help the team get better or to strengthen his bottom line. So the front office already had a lot to deal with over the year, trying to be able to go out and get people with working with their hands tied up. So let's just see how this all plays out. But again, the view from 30,000 feet, we're in a good spot. We just need the injury bug to kind of loosen up on us a little bit and give us a chance to get some guys healthy as we build towards the All-Star break.
I mean, heck, we're in first place, 37 and 30, 5 game lead over second place Texas, and we clearly haven't hit in our stride yet. So if we can be at this point right now, early June, I'm actually pretty optimistic too. Now, obviously, the script can flip in baseball pretty quickly, but if you're telling me that the team hasn't hit their peak yet, we still have a majority of the lineup underachieving, in my opinion. We've had a couple of young guys come up big just to keep the boat from sinking. We are the Seattle Mariners, after all. But no, for real. I mean, we're in first place and we have yet to play our best baseball, man. If we start peaking and gelling and start really getting this thing going, this is still a scary team, and it's easy as fans too because they play every day. So we get so wrapped into it, and that's what makes it so much fun. This is like our athletic soap opera, man. I get so high and so low every day. I mean, 5 minutes after I'm all good, but I mean, in the moment though, I'm slamming shit, I'm cursing, I'm scaring my dogs. My wife's looking at me sideways, and then we come back with a Julio game-winning single to right field, and I'm all jovial again. So it's just part of being a diehard baseball fan, I guess.
162 games will do that to you, man. 162 games is not for the timid at heart, especially when you're true to the blue and you're trying to represent that Triton, dog. Let's go back to the chat here, take a couple more questions, but then we'll transition on to the second part of the broadcast tonight. Again, happy to have each and every one of you rocking with us live on the YouTube live feed of Mayo Minus Another Sports podcast. Looking here says, are there any under the radar bats we could see the M's going after before the deadline? People not named Vlad Jr. to Pete Alonso because that's all I see from mainstream media for us. Some people have said Luis Roberts. Um, I know that the Angels are also shopping Tyler Ward. Again, what is it? In order for us really to be able to go after someone, we're going to have to be able to give up some pitching. And right now, I'm still under the belief, personally, my own opinion, that the pitching staff is the heart and soul of what's going to carry us deep into October. Without some of those arms in the bullpen, we're going to need some extending innings from some of those guys on the front end to be able to get this done. And I would like to be able to go in that with the most talented roster that we have instead of diminishing that in any kind of way. And if I'm looking at it wrong, that's what we're here for, to debate. I'd rather trade for cash considerations than Luis Roberts. You gotta love the internet, man. The internet is undefeated. But yeah, man, it's just one of these things. What are we willing to give up in order to be able to make that happen? So we all talk a lot of shit about what we would do in the front office and unhappy with some of the moves that they do make at times. I, for one, am thrilled that I don't have any of those problems to worry about. Jerry and Justin's job is going to be real hard to be able to build what it is that we need to be able to get us down the road as we continue to make this press to the playoffs. Anybody out there you got your eye on, Ty?
It's absolutely Brent Roker from Oakland, who we just played this weekend. I think Seattle fans probably know him pretty well because as a fan, you know the in-division rivals a lot better. But this guy rakes. He is on a shitty team. Nobody has any idea what's going on from a business standpoint for Oakland either. But I mean, he's a 270 hitter, 13 bombs, an 897 OPS on a dog shit team. And like I referenced earlier, the Mariners have built up a system where I don't think we need to trade one of our top 6 starters. I'd be fine to trade Hancock, but there's absolutely no reason you have to trade one of the top 5 to get a quality hitter. And so Brent Rooker, easily my number one guy. And then they're actually both in division. Luis Rengifo is another guy I would be all over with an 808 OPS, 312 average at second base. Absolutely love him also. So it's definitely Brent Rooker and Luis Rengifo. The huge caveat is the only team that Jerry DePoto's never traded with is the Anaheim Angels. There's still that much bad blood from their divorce back when that happened. So that one might be pretty unrealistic, but hey, Duke can dream, huh?
Man, that's what we do as fans. That's what we do as fans. We do. I'll tell you this: considering how he's performed the last couple weeks since he's had his change in location, I'm sure there's some people who would really want Teoscar Hernandez back in our lineup right now. But again, just baseball is just one of those things, man, where the right or wrong move can completely throw off the chemistry in the locker room. I don't want to see us go out and overreach for someone because I don't think that we can really afford to have that happen 4 out of the last 5 years once we get into the real push for the playoffs around after the All-Star break. Mariner Lifer has a question for you, T. They're asking, are you a Huskies or a Cougar fan?
I am a Huskies fan, but I'm also not an alumni, so I'm not a super diehard necessarily. But my fandom is straight down the line, all the Seattle teams. It's that simple.
I know one Seattle team, you should stop taking that drug, man. Stop shooting it in your veins and just come on to the Northeast, dog. We got a Philadelphia Eagles jersey waiting for you. You will look good in that midnight green. I'm just telling you, dog. Just tell you,
The only
don't you
one
want to
I
go to the
would put
playoffs?
on is your boy number 20.
Oh, he said, I saw that red up in the corner and figured it was a Cougar stuff. I'm
Oh.
about to go in, baby. You want to know what that is? It's the ugliest logo that has ever existed in college sports. It's a
uh,
O that represents that evil organization in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm not even going to say their name because our social media director might start bombing me, when she has time because it has sentimental value to her. But nah, my man there, he's a true up and down Seattle fan, rocks with the Huskies, and I've been telling him for months he needed to get that O far away from the screen that's up there in the corner.
Happy wife, happy life. My wife is originally from Ohio. Her entire family is Ohio State fans, and that's what that is up there. It's Flower Wreath, Ohio. But it is what it is, man. But no tripping at all. Seattle teams all the way down the line. It's that simple.
Mariners lifer fan says, "Oh man, he must be friends with our producer Indy." He says the Eagles lost to Drew Lock on Monday Night Football. Just saying. I'm going to ask you how was it not making the playoffs this year? And a broken clock is right twice a day. And then he also says, "Yeah, man, get that O back to Ohio. I love Mariners lifer. I'm gonna find a way to rig the contest."
Oh, that's good shit,
Our
dude.
producer says, "Nah, he's not my Mariner Life is not my friend, but he will be after taking shots about my Eagles, man. I hate both of y'all." Again, Vaden Podcast Services presents My Oh My. It's another sports podcast coming to you live each and every Sunday on Twitch, on YouTube. Follow us on our socials at My Oh My ASP. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook, any of your favorite social media platforms. Don't forget that each and every week you can download a copy of this episode off of your favorite podcast form, whether it be Spotify or whether it be Apple Music. Again, this show isn't anything without the people who support it, and we're happy to have each and every one of you rocking with it this week. Let's talk a little bit of NBA basketball before we get up out of here for this evening. The NBA Finals is currently going down in Boston, Massachusetts. Rising stars Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown trying to hang at banner number 18. All world Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving trying to stop that and bring a championship back to Dallas long before the Cowboys will, but it's getting kind of tough for him after tonight's game, even though Luka came out with it, was named questionable before the game started, but came out with his injury and had a triple double tonight. But it just wasn't enough to get the Mavs over the hump as they did fall again to the Boston Celtics. Now the Boston Celtics have a 2-0 lead as the series shifts into Dallas for games 3 and 4 Wednesday night on your favorite TV station. Ty, I know we don't discuss a whole lot about him since the Seattle lost their team to Oklahoma City. But again, what do you think about the way the NBA Finals is breaking down?
Well, so far to me, it's really simple. Is even when Dallas scores on any given possession, almost all of their shots are so difficult. They're making A plus difficulty shots or missing them on any given possession. And Boston's getting good looks, whether it's from the three or at the rim. And it's just a really, really hard way to consistently survive on offense when it's basically step back jumpers after step back jumper. That's just unsustainable against a team that has what 60, 64 wins, something of that nature. And let's just keep it real here. I'm cheering for the Mavs, not just because I like Kyrie, I like their skill set, but they knocked out OKC. And if you knock out OKC, I'm cheering for you. But from what I'm seeing, bro, I do not have very much optimism for Dallas at all right now.
Man, so Sunday evening media says that Boston is a very tough team for them to be able to match up with. And I think so too, because some of the things that Dallas was able to do against a better defensive team in Minnesota, they're not able to do that with the Mavs. You see that they are being able to frustrate Kyrie. He's had 2 terrible shooting nights so far. Luka's had to do everything. There's no ball movement. Their others are really hitting shots now. From listening to a lot of basketball analysts over the course of the years, I know what the old saying is that that the others seem to play better when they are at home, but they are going to have to try to find a way to make more consistent shots, or this is going to be a 4-game sweep. Back to the chat real quick. Sunday Evening Media says that they're a Niners fan, Mariners fan, and an Ohio State. Oh, get that the hell out of here. Can't believe it. And then our social media director happened to hop on the chat and do that nasty OHI hole. I thought it was OV hole, like from the Kendrick Lamar disc, but no, that's not what she put up there. And the Mavs are screwed from Mariner Life. Let's be real. It does look that way, that they're not getting enough consistent play from anyone not named Luka Doncic right now. But we all know that the series doesn't start until the home team loses. They are going back to Boston. I mean, they are going back to Dallas down 2-0. Got to see what kind of adjustments they could be made. And again, expect some of those guys, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, just play a little bit better when they do get back home, because that's just the way the basketball seems to work for some reason. But again, if not, this is going to be a real quick series. And unfortunate for us, then we're going to have to dive fully into Mariner baseball until we get to September. And any little mistake that they have, I can't promise I'm not going to be on here overreacting and screaming at the top of my lungs every week once we get down to it.
Well, I got a question for you. I noticed that he played 8 minutes in game one, but where's Tim Hardaway Jr.? I don't know if he's the difference maker for this series, but I'm just seeing, like, I love these Derek Jones Jr.'s and Lively and PJ, but it feels to me like they need more shooting out there. And it's not like he's a shitty defender or anything like that. He could at least hold his own against those excellent Boston wing players. So what's up? Where's Tim Hardaway Jr.?
He seems to be lost in the mix right now. He's either lost in the mix or he's hurt. But he hasn't been a huge part of this playoff run. I know he came in the OKC series and had a good performance that helped them vanquish your new public enemy number one out there in the Midwest. But again, I just haven't seen a lot from that guy out on the court recently, and it makes me kind of wonder where it is that he's at, if he's hurt, if there's something going on internally, has he fallen out of graces with the team? But yeah, they definitely need somebody who could come in and kind of take the pressure off of Luka and Kyrie to have to do so much. Now, I don't expect Kyrie to keep having these terrible shooting performances. He is one of the greatest players that's ever played the game. Unbelievable finisher at the rim, crazy athletic. But like you said earlier, we might be looking at him expecting 2016 Kyrie, and the guy's old now. And yes, 32 isn't the oldest age in the world, but the guy's been in the league for so long and gone through so many wars. So it'll be interesting to see if they can battle back, if they can make a series out of this as we go down. But it is gonna be interesting, man. Boston does look pretty good. Porzingis did come up limping at one point in the game, and he's been real dominant when he's out there on the court. So we'll see if that may be able to be a silver lining that Dallas may need to be able to find a way back into the series. I'm just happy that we're getting some good competitive games. One thing that I did hear during the broadcast that found interesting was Indiana just attacked Boston and attacked Boston and attacked Boston and kept scoring on them and kept scoring on them. But Dallas doesn't seem to be playing that way. It seems to be a lot of one-on-one matchups, get Luka to screen, let him back somebody down, and then the fadeaway. And God has an unbelievable shot, but I think they're just asking too much on him, and especially if Kyrie can't even be able to give you half of what Luka's been able to give you, to kind of balance that out and free him up a little bit. They can just kind of key in on him and everything. But again, it's basketball series are very interesting. There has been times in my lifetime where some team has won the first two games at home, and then the Miami Heat prior to LeBron joining the Dwayne Wade Shaq Heat were one of those teams who lost the first two games in Dallas and then went and won three straight, then went back to Dallas and won one to close it out. So it is something that has happened before. We just got to stay tuned and keep watching the follow out to see how it plays out.
Now that you mentioned that, so let's go all the way back to 96 and my favorite team ever versus the best team ever. Now, they didn't come back and win the series, but the 72 win Bulls went up 3-0 on the Sonics. We fought back and won two straight to make it 3-2 before they closed it out. But I'm just saying I'm with you that a 2-0 start doesn't mean it's going to be a sweep, especially when we're going back to Dallas to see how it turns out. There is vastly better teams like those 72 win Bulls that got off to a great start and still lost a couple. So let's see what happens. This is where the adjustments come, man. Jason Kidd's one of the greatest basketball IQ dudes ever. Simple.
He is. They're in good hands as far as the what he's preaching in the locker room after these two losses, and just to see if they can come out and show a little bit better product on the court. But let's take a couple breaks and get a couple days in and just enjoy Mariner baseball before we get into Wednesday. My boy Logan, the LOG. The OG is going to take the hill tomorrow, followed by uppercomer, the new tough dog on the block, Brian Wu, in the next 2 days. So for those of you who live in the Seattle Mariner area where you can get out to T-Mobile Park if you can, I know it's early in the week. Go support the team. Buy some tickets. Buy a hot dog. Get out there and do what you need to do in order to be able to help them get through this push. Fan support is that's all we can do for them. Really, we can sit here and debate this, that, and the other, but really, it's just our job to cheer. So let's go out and cheer these guys on as they come back home to start this Rose homestand with the White Sox coming into town, as well as followed by the defending World Series champion, the Texas Rangers. Anything else you got for me, Ty?
I just want to give a big shout out to Luke Rayleigh because we shouted out basically every guy on the M's that has been playing good ball. Luke Rayleigh has been a key player in this team turning around from the 6-10 start to 7 games over 500. Shout out Luke Rayleigh, and we really need it, man, because it really breaks my heart. But fan favorite Mitch Haniger is playing kind of crappy in the field and at the dish. We need guys like Rayleigh to step up and pick up the slack.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Was happy when we signed Luke Rayleigh. Glad to see his bat starting to come around. My homeboy, Mitch Garver, representing Albuquerque, New Mexico, La Cueva High School, University of New Mexico. He's starting to come around. Real quick before we transition on out, what did you think about us picking up Victor Robles this week?
I actually loved it, and that's just basically because it's a very low risk move. He is still only 27. He's still got some speed. He's always had that high potential, which he's never met. It sucks that we picked him up in a way because if Haniger and Canzone were playing at a level that we had hoped that they would, this wouldn't have happened. If Sam Haggerty didn't tear his ACL in Tacoma, this wouldn't have happened. But it's an extremely low risk reward for a guy that at worst will give us athleticism, speed, right-handed bat, and frankly, as the season evolves, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the team by the end of the year. But it's just a smart low risk pickup.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the dude came in and was able to be a little bit productive this week too. So again, just let's give these guys some times. Let's just see how this all plays out. We got to trust Justin and Jerry to put us in a position to be able to keep the momentum going as we get ready to make this push towards the All-Star break and then the Mad Dash to get us this division title that we seem to be so desperately wanting and in need for. That would really definitely help the morale around the Seattle area. Again, Vaden Podcast Services presents My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. That's your man Ty Talks 24. Big shout out to super producer Indy rocking all the way with us. Thank you for all that you do. For those of you who were live with us in the chat, you have made this such a fun episode. We're happy to have you. Come and join us live each and every week. If you're even interested, slide in the DM, man. Send us your availability. We'll tell you what you could do to get on the show. If you want to sit there and debate stats with Ty, man, you got to come with your A game because that boy is going to eat you alive if you ain't prepared. For sure, for sure. A big shout out to those of you following us on our socials, at my on my ASP. Be sure to look for us on Facebook, TikTok, any of your favorite socials. This show is live each and every week on YouTube as well as Twitch. You can also download a copy of the episode if you missed us live. the beginning of the week on your favorite networks to get your podcast from, whether it be Spotify or Apple Music. Again, this show isn't anything without the people who follow and listen to it, and we thank each and all of you for your love and support. Again, that's your man Ty Talks 24. I'm that dude RG. Fading Podcast Services presents My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. Until next week, y'all, we out.